There is going to be a battle though in the Superminis as they head out onto the circuit. It's going to be a great battle. Lawrence Wardle and Louis Smith on the front row of the grid from Michael Med and Leo Caulfield. Then Andre Tudea and Jake Smith. Charlie Cunningham is back, this time in 7th on the grid alongside Phil Dickens. Joe Milnes and Alex Clark will round out the top 10 ahead of Paul Jennings and Andrew Jones. Then it's Tyler Hartley and Lee Thompson with Liam Whiteley and Dan Baker taking up the last positions on the starting grid. Now, Lawrence Wardle came through for the victory in the first race yesterday here at Three Sisters, so it'll be interesting to see what will happen in the second. And it's a lot of riders here that could certainly take that to them. A lot of battles to come. Several riders missing from the start of this one. Caulfield, Tudea and Smith are not there, so that gives Charlie Cunningham the chance to shoot up from 7th on the grid into, is that 2nd? Charlie Cunningham has shot forward. Well, excellent start then from Cunningham behind Lawrence Wardle. But this is going to be yet another one of those type of races where we're going to have a lot of battles between riders just trying to get themselves into a confident position. Michael Med is now 3rd behind Cunningham. And that's Phil Dickens. Joe Milnes is in there with Alex Clark, so they're having a really tasty battle at the start of this one. And look at the legs on Charlie Cunningham, who is already starting to find his way through as he charges down the straight. And he's going to try and take the lead here. He does. So Charlie Cunningham heads the field ahead of Lawrence Wardle. There's still so much to play for in this race, but Charlie Cunningham could make this a double trouble result. Can he make it 2 wins out of 2 starts here at Three Sisters? Wow. Charlie Cunningham leading the race here at Three Sisters after an epic charge forward from 7th on the grid. Admittedly, there were 3 absentees from the start. Leo Caulfield, Andre Tudea and Jake Smith were not on the grid, so that certainly gave him a clearer run. But charging through to the lead is exactly what he has managed to achieve. So very good stuff indeed then from Charlie Cunningham. He's washed out! Charlie Cunningham drops in at Luna! Almost identical to what we saw earlier on. He just carries too much throttle, the bike drops out from under him, and Charlie Cunningham goes from hero to 0. I cannot believe it. Charlie Cunningham throws away the lead. And so now the new race leader is Alex Clark. It was Wardle and Med battling away for position, but now Clark has shot his way forward. He was in P5 at the start of this race. So Alex Clark is riding beautifully here at Three Sisters to get himself into the lead. Absolutely extraordinary. He's ahead of Wardle and Michael Med. Then it's Jennings, Dickens and Joe Milnes. Well, what a difference a couple of laps makes. Absolutely astonishing to think that Alex Clark, who let's not forget, on this original starting grid, Alex Clark was P10. There were 3 absentees, obviously, but that still means he started P7. And now here he is in the lead of the race. Excellent recovery from Alex Clark. Michael Med now 2nd. Wardle's really struggling. He's actually dropped behind Paul Jennings, and I think he may be struggling for big pace. His last lap was a 109.2 compared to the other riders around him. Everybody's now in the 107s and 108s. He's going to be in trouble from Dickens. He's going to be in big trouble from Milnes and Tyler Hartley. So he's got to pick up the pace if he wants to stay in the top 5. Lawrence Wardle, the winner yesterday, really struggling to find grip today. They must have set the bike up slightly askew because now he's really struggling to keep back Phil Dickens. Phil Dickens with a chance to move forward. But in typical Supermini and Mini GP17 style, it's all to play for, and there's a big shuffle of the deck almost every lap here as Wardle tries to work his way further forward. There's Charlie Cunningham back on the bike. Now you're allowed to get back on in the senior categories. You're not allowed to in the junior categories. That's why Matthew Thomas was out on the spot earlier on when he crashed in the Road to MotoGP class, and that's another fall. Well, there were going to be a couple of them for sure, and I'm afraid that is absolute disaster for Paul Jennings. He just drops it down the order now. So Paul Jennings, who was as high as 3rd behind Michael Med, is now going to drop behind Wardle, Dickens, Milnes and Tyler Hartley. He's got going again, but he's down now in 8th position. Not good news for Paul Jennings. and it shows you how tricky it is out there for these riders, as we saw one of the Mini GP 17 bikes, that's Tyler Hartley, trying to work his way further forward. New class, of course, coming in, hopefully going to have a decent grid for 2026. But the number 10 bike, Tyler Hartley, trying to mix it in amongst the Super Minis. So this is a very tricky course now. This is almost like a jet ski race. Every lap, the circuit is changing lap to lap to lap. You don't know from one lap to the next what the pace is going to be and how much grip you're actually going to have. So we've had two big falls already here. But Alex Clark is your new race leader. Is that Wardle in second now? Yes, it is. So Wardle, I missed that, sorry. Wardle is now in front of Michael Med. So these two having a great race. This is Dickens and Milnes, absolutely at each other's throats. 25 thousandths of a second as they came across the line. And Dickens was on the timing beacon just in front. But it is Joe Milnes who's now in front. He's managed to make the overtake on Dickens. And then that's Tyler Hartley behind them. So up to fourth position then goes Joe Milnes. Through Paddock Bend. He's got a lot of work to do to catch up to Wardle and Med. There is Med in the distance. Just trying to tippy-toe his way through. He's only about 4 seconds up the road. But that's a lot in British minibike terms. So it looks like it's going to be Alex Clark just steadily pulling clear and chipping away at the fastest lap times. Alex Clark doing a great job out in the front positions. Everybody else just trying to tuck their way through. That was Liam Whiteley there on the 325. That's the other of the Mini GP 17 bikes in the mix there. He was just chasing after Dan Baker and Andrew Jones. And now trying to get through onto the inside line. Well, the camera's cut away because we've got a great battle for fourth place still cooking. Joe Milnes, Phil Dickens and Tyler Hartley as they come through. And Alex Clark, by the way, has just set a 105.3, so another new fastest lap. That tells us that the circuit is getting considerably quicker than it was. And Wardle has now found the confidence in the bike to not only get ahead of Michael Med, but his sector times are getting pretty rapid. He could catch up to Alex Clark here before the end. 12 laps of racing in this particular category. So you've got a lot of time to do a lot of damage, but can Wardle hunt down Alex Clark? You can see the slide of the bike there from Tyler Hartley on the braking for Lucy's Valley. Gets it done into the S's. Still a very tight battle here for fourth position between Joe Milnes, Phil Dickens and Tyler Hartley. But Alex Clark is the form maker out front. He's got a decent 5 seconds or so in front of everybody else. Alex Clark is your man leading the way. Lawrence Wardle second, Michael Med in third position. Lawrence Wardle's just done a 104.7. He's 7/10 of a second quicker than Alex Clark, so he's got the gap down to 4.6. If he can do that for the next 5 laps, he's going to catch him and pass him. So what can Alex Clark do now in response? He's got to retaliate with a similar kind of lap time. So it's going to be very interesting from here on out. But fourth position still looks relatively comfortable as Tyler Hartley is putting pressure on Phil Dickens for fifth. But Joe Milnes doesn't have too much to worry about here in fourth position. He can just keep himself to himself. Tyler Hartley again tries to get into the top 5 on the lone MGP 17 bike in the top 10. There is another rider in the race. That is Liam Whiteley, who we saw briefly earlier on. He's running ahead of Andrew Jones and Louis Smith. But definitely off the pace of these guys, who, let's be fair to the Super Minis, they do have slightly wider tyres than those Mini GP 17 bikes, which certainly helps in terms of traction in these conditions as Michael Med goes through on the treble 7 bike. And then it's these three again, Milnes, Dickens, Hartley, 4th, 5th, 6th. But nobody is a match for Alex Clark and Lawrence Wardle up front. They're lapping 3 seconds a lap faster than anybody else at the moment. But Clark has responded to Wardle. He's done a 104.4 compared to Lawrence Wardle on a 104.6, with everybody else in the 107s and the 108s. So very good work indeed from Alex Clark, and he is now thwarting the onslaught from Lawrence Wardle. Now can Tyler Hartley pick this up on Phil Dickens? He's going to have to work very hard to get ahead. A lot of concentration is going to be required here if he wants the overtake. But it is not easy to find a gap, and he doesn't have a lot of rubber on the road, even by comparison to Phil Dickens' Supermini in front of him. So He's just got to feel the balance and feel the instinct of these fabulous bikes. I love the appearance of these Mini GP 17 bikes. They are so cool to look at. Tyler Hartley trying to get decent traction off the turn. This is where the speed advantage will kick in. But he hasn't quite got what it takes. He just needs to hang back to be confident going through Pentith Climb and down Coward Summit. But of course, Tyler Hartley just focusing on the Mini GP 17 category. No worries at all as far as the class victory is concerned, because Liam Whiteley, his only other opposition, is a good half a minute down the road from him. So he certainly doesn't have to worry about that. But this is for pride for Tyler Hartley. He wants to take on Phil Dickens and beat him. It's one of the things I love the most about British mini bikes, inter-class racing. You do get different riders who get the chance in conditions like this to run on an even playing field, and it gives you a really entertaining battle. There is Joe Milnes, still just taking it in his stride in 4th position, not overriding. What about Charlie Cunningham? Well, he's elevated himself up to 8th place now, so he's certainly made a decent recovery after dropping it from the lead, but he's not got a lot of time left, and I think he's just going to run out of opportunities to move his way up into the top 6. I think he's just going to run out of time. He's currently in 8th place, but he won't have a lot of time to move further forward. There is Alex Clark on the 43 bike, just working his way through the traffic, lapping Andrew Jones and Louis Smith. Just got to take his time. The last thing he needs is to trip over one of these back markers. He's already seen Charlie Cunningham drop it from the lead. He doesn't want to be the next one to do so. Just take your time. You've got 5 seconds on Lawrence Wardle. He doesn't go for the move there on the inside of Andrew Jones. He'll wait. He'll give himself the opportunity. He'll take his time. This has been an amazing ride from Alex Clark. Don't forget, he started in P10. And okay, there were 3 riders missing on the grid as he goes into the last lap. Those 3 riders elevated him to P7, but he still went from 7th to 2nd in essentially a lap and a half, and then took the lead on that 2nd lap and has never looked back since. Absolutely amazing from Alex Clark. The kind of ride that he will remember for a long, long time here. There are still battles all down the length and breadth of the grid. Riders still trying to make a play. Charlie Cunningham desperately trying to close up on Lee Thompson to get ahead. But I think he's going to have to settle for 8th position. He won't get any more than that. But Alex Clark is tippy-toeing his way through to Luna for the last time. It's been an absolutely immaculate ride for Alex Clark, and he will take the 25 points for the victory out of the final turn from 10th on the grid to the victory for Alex Clark. The checkered flag flies. What a ride here at Three Sisters in front of Lawrence Wardle and Michael Med.
The full result in the Super Mini class, top 10 looks like this, with Alex Clark winning from Lawrence Wardle and Michael Med. Then came Joe Milnes, Phil Dickens, Lee Thompson, Charlie Cunningham, Paul Jennings, Dan Baker and Louis Smith. Tyler Hartley won the Mini GP 17-inch class. That's all the action from part 1 of the British Mini Bikes Championship here at Wigan. Join us shortly for part 2.